Hey, Chris, before you... Oh, actually, I think I can see. It looks like there's rubber going all the way around that caisson. Right there, right in back of you. If I were to back up, would the rake of the barge hit that metal, or would we hit some rubber?
Nah, we're above it, so I think it'll be up on like the metal bar up here.
Ah, damn it. All right.
Yeah, I think we're up too high.
All right, so I guess what we'll try to do then is we'll try to crank the bow in and back away. Hello and welcome. I'm Tim and this is TimBatSea. So the task today is to not go bunker a ship, but we're actually doing a terminal to terminal transfer. We've done that in a couple other things, but I just didn't call it that, where we've taken ethanol to other places and gasoline, that sort of stuff. But today we're down in Seawarren, New Jersey, and we're getting this barge here and we're bringing it up to Carteret. And the thing that you might notice is that the barge is loaded, but I'm made up alongside heads and tails. So in other words, the stern is really the working bow. And I'm going to tell you all about that. You see, where we're going, the slip that we're going to is too small for us to get it in there in push gear. And well, I should say that it has to go in there starboard side too. So if I was in push gear, I'd have to back in. Be quiet
we'll
now.
keep a Seawarren, chill Seawarren, and we'll be northbound in the Kills, bound up for KMI Carteret.
Yeah, so we have to make up heads and tails and drive the barge into the slip backwards. For one,
I'm squeezing the bow over, so I'm, if you see the stern opening up, that's part of the plan.
Okay, we're on the rubber up here too, so you can just kind of roll it around where it's at.
Alright, cool.
I'll try to continue to do my talkovers and
10:45 underway.
hopefully not talk over myself in the video. But anyway, where we got to go, we got to get it starboard side 2, and if we did that starboard side 2 in push gear, we'd have to back in. There wouldn't be enough room for the lineup, so we have to drive it in this way.
Alright, I'll try to do this as quick as I can to get you out of the cold.
So the problem that I'm having, there's a couple issues here. One is, you'll notice it's loaded heavier in the stern, which is the way we usually like them loaded when we're either towing them or pushing them in the notch. The problem is when it's essentially the stern is now the bow, so now it's bow heavy.
Seems like it's doing pretty good. Kind of just sitting still up here. We're already out to like 50 back there.
Which means that the bow will stay put and the stern will move around. And when I say the bow and the stern, I'm talking about in relationship to the tug. So I originally, when I first started the video, you heard me talking about to Chris. I wanted to back up and roll the stern in on a pad and pop the bow out, but I had Chris look and he said that because of the rake of the bow would go over a metal piece and that would not be good, so that was an option that we couldn't do. So now what I'm doing is, as he's taking lines off, I'm doing a left twist so that I'm getting the...
Yeah, we're starting to open up here. We're out there like 3 and opening pretty steady.
Now I'm done with my twist, but I was rolling the bow into the caisson. Now I'm starting to back up a little bit, and
yeah, we're out there like 15, so opening pretty steady.
so if you notice, my rudder is a little bit to starboard right now, and that's because I'm backing up, but I'm coming ahead on the other engine just a little bit, and I don't want to come ahead too much because...
Alright, I'm going to start coming ahead. Hopefully I won't whack the stern. If you want to walk back this way like you're getting to the ladder, like I said, I can probably see everything from here, so unless we have a catastrophic problem, everything should be fine.
So that's what I'm trying to avoid, is that because the bow is so heavy, when I start to turn to the right, the bow will stay there and the stern will go to the left.
10:45 underway.
So I had to back up enough to get everything pointed, get enough water in between us so that when
Chris, just let me know when you're coming
I start
across
coming
so
around,
that I don't work on the barge. All right.
I'll get the working bow or the actual stern of the barge to start moving to the right, and without me going too far to the left with the working stern or the bow of the barge. So, and then the other thing you have to worry about too is that as you start to come ahead, until you get way on the barge, when you come ahead from a standstill and you're made up alongside, everything wants to go to the direction it's at. So in other words, if I were to just put it in gear, the whole tug and barge would go a little bit sideways to the left. So that's why I had to increase my angle. So we're coming ahead, making good way now. You should see a buoy up there on the right hand side. Keep that for all of you overseas. We have the buoyage B where red right returns, so inbound you want to keep the red buoys right hand side.
From the Elk River, we're underway at this time.
Now here I'm checking in with traffic. I've already checked in, but I've called in on initial. Now I'm just checking in. He'll tell me what the traffic is. That was a very low on the volume, but he basically said we had no opposing. So that means that if I see anybody, it shouldn't be a tug and a tow.
You're all good now. Come back.
All right, not going to touch the rotor. Go ahead.
So now what happens is I tell my AB who's coming across from the barge onto the tug, I told him to call me before he does it because I can't see him do that. And the reason now he's on the tug and I'm all set. So what happens is if he was on the ladder and I started to turn one way or the other, because we're only made up in soft lines, the tug could jump a little bit one way or the other, and that would not be good if he was on the ladder. So I have standing orders that as he approaches the ladder, he lets me know that he's going to do it, and I don't touch the throttles or the steering, and everything should stay the same. He comes across and he tells me when he's across, and then I can continue doing what I'm doing. And sometimes, like if I'm in a spot where I have to move, or I have to make a turn coming up or something like that, or I'm turning and I want to stop turning, any of those things would be a problem. I'll say, no, don't come down the ladder yet, just hang on a second. Now, in the interest of not boring you to death, this whole operation from going from one place to another took about, I think it was like an hour and 22 minutes or something like that. But I don't think that you guys all wanted to see that. And as many people fight out in the comments, it always seems as though there's a camp that hates it when I speed up videos and a camp that says it's fine. But you always see people yelling at each other in the comments saying, look, if you don't like the sped up videos, YouTube does have the ability for you to slow everything down or speed it up yourself. So if that's something that you really don't like, go ahead and feel free to slow it down and watch the whole thing in the entirety. But for me, that's a little much to ask. So I probably should have been watching where we're going, though. I think we came around Smoking Point, and we're northbound in the Arthur Kills. And on the right-hand side is an old graveyard of tugboats. Most of it's when they had, there's a couple barges there, but right about now, where if you look over there, you can see some old rusted hulks of different tugboats that Whitty had. They used to store tugboats over there and let them rot away, but I think in the last time the scrap metal prices went crazy, a lot of that stuff got cleaned out. But if you ever hear people talk about an old graveyard for old rusted derelict boats and tugboats and barges on the southwest corner of or the west side of Staten Island, that's where they're talking about. In the distance there you can see that would be VZ Paper up on the right hand side. You see the smokestack up there, and the different waste facilities sort out all the different waste and do different stuff, and they bring paper down there, and it's a recycling plant. But we're making our way up here, and life is good. You can see the cranes are moving. Those guys are working over there. Now what happens is I'm coming up to where I want to go, and I have to stop because there's somebody in my slip. So if you see me, I'm stopped right now, and what I'm doing is I'm waiting for him until he's all good to go, and he'll let me out. And you can see my rudder. I moved my rudder over just because I'm just trying to maintain position, and the wind's blowing pretty good here. And once again, the wind doesn't affect a loaded barge that much. It affects a light barge a lot more, but because I'm made up to it, the tugboat becomes the sail. So I'm just waiting for this other unit to come out, and when he comes out, here he is now. So I'm going to be quiet, and you can hear us talk on the radio.
Come in, Cap.
Oh yeah, sorry, the radio down there. Okay, thanks for holding up there.
Not a problem. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, you guys too. Merry and Happy New Year.
All right.
Now, if you haven't figured it out already, this video was shot right before Christmas, so he isn't giving me a Merry Christmas 11 months in advance, or 12 or 10 months in advance. It's a video that I'm just getting to post now, so that's why that's happening. So he'll get all set. His assist tug helped him hold up there. And then when he gets out of the way, we'll drive her into the slip. One thing that's hard to document on film is that one of the
Come in on the Jill.
Oh, this is where I'm trying to call the assist tug to tell the assist tug, hey, look, you can't. He's probably writing in the log right now or calling the office, and he's kind of right where I want to get, so I'm trying to call him. But like I was trying to say before, one thing that's really hard to convey is one of the most difficult parts of this whole job is waiting.
Matthew Tibbetts, you still on this one?
Yeah, I gotcha.
Hey, can you have the Jill step it up a little bit so I can get by?
Yep, I'll give him a buzz right here. Sorry about that.
Not a problem, thank you.
And the reason why he can do that is those two will have a working channel that they're working, and then they'll turn down the other radios so that they can just concentrate on their task at hand right there. But yeah, it's not hard waiting for, you know, sitting.
All right, Chris, here we go.
Oh, calling my AB and saying, okay, we're getting ready to go in. But it's not hard when you're waiting at the dock for orders or something like that.
DS 301 Elk River.
But while you're waiting,
Good, Elk.
We're going in.
and the wind and the tide are
Roger that.
affecting you, you're waiting for a bridge to open, or you're waiting for traffic, or you're waiting for your berth to open up. It just takes forever. It's, minutes take hours, it seems. You just want to get
Yeah,
the
I'm
job
here,
done.
Tim.
Yeah, man.
So now my AB just did a comms check with me there just to make sure that we're talking together. And if you look on the left-hand corner there, that's where we're going in. And I think granted this is a few months ago, so I'm trying to do this from memory, but usually when I come into this dock, this is how I'm assuming this, is because we don't usually want to come into this dock without an assist tug if there was any ebb current. So in other words, if the tide was fair right now pushing me up, it'd be very hard to turn and go and not land on the wrong side of the dock, because remember, I want to land on what will be effectively the port side of the tug, or if you're standing on the barge, it's going to be the starboard side of the barge. So we still want to catch just the very end of the flood here. So excuse me, I said that exactly wrong. So if it was flooding, it would push me to the other side. I want to catch it right at the end of the ebb so that the ebb will come down. The ebb will be opposing the tide right now, and that will stick us right tight to the dock. The only problem with that is that I had it all timed out to be exactly perfect, and I came around the corner and there was somebody in the berth. So he doesn't want to get out when the ebb tide is holding him to the dock. He wants to get out with a little bit of flood so it lifts him off of the dock. So the later he goes, the harder it is for me. The earlier he goes, the harder it is for him, and the easier
All right,
it
Chris,
is
so
for
the
me.
plan is I want to get in there and get about a third or a half of the barge up the slip before I land on the corner. Hopefully that will work. Then I'll roll it around and hopefully the tide will hold me right up against the dock.
There we go.
Alright.
That's starting to make sense. And it's not just me. I like to think that most of the guys in the fleet like to share what they're doing with their deck crew. The old days of the tyrant captain that would never tell what he's doing and he would just do stuff. Those are wonderful for stories and probably good for insurance claims too.
I'm trying to be able to see down the dock and like 40 feet ahead. We're like a third off the end of the pier.
Very good.
It helps a lot when the whole team knows exactly what the plan is. And so by doing that, he's going to tell me that he said with 30 feet ahead he'd be able to look down the side of the dock. When he can,
Yeah, I can see down it now. The corner of the bar starting to come past it.
now you see that
All
when
right.
he can see down the flat of the dock, even though I'm 300 feet, 400 feet back here, he can see down there. I know that I can start rolling around now. And the pivot point is going to be somewhere around midship of the barge, although it's going to be a little different because the stern of the barge, which would be the working
We're
bow
like
of the
40 off
barge,
the end of the pier, and
wants to move less.
You just keep doing what you're doing, keep coming ahead. I'll let you know and get like past and get plenty of coverage on this first one.
All right.
So my AB here, who's calling me in here,
Matthew Tibbetts.
it's a fun time for him.
We're down to like 35 and just closing real slow.
All right.
As you can see,
Return to top off.
he's really good at what he does, and he's been a real asset to our
We
crew.
got plenty of coverage on the first pad. We actually had like 30 more for coverage on the second one.
All right, I'm going to try to start rolling it around just because I don't think the tide's working as hard as I thought it would be. That Genesis barge is probably blocking it all.
Alright.
So right here, there's a barge in the other slip, and so I was counting on the tide to push me down onto the dock, and that barge is so big, that big ATB that's over there, it's blocking a lot of the tide, so I'm not getting the effect as much as I wanted to, so I have to use more of the engines. But anyway, I was saying one of the things that is hard for a captain is that when you have a really good crew,
In like 20 more feet ahead, we'll have coverage on like the main part of the dock. It's all loaded with tires.
Cool.
I feel bad I'm talking while they're talking, but anyway, he went to Tankerman school and he's been promoted and he's going to be in the Tankerman program by the time this airs. So super proud of him, and he's done great work. And
We're down to 10 off the first pad, like 20 off the second one, and like 6 more feet ahead, we'll have coverage on like the main part of the dock.
and so you guys will
All right, good deal.
be seeing new people on the boat in future videos. So now I'm just easing it in there. And what?
We're 6 wide off the first pad, and we're like 15 up here on the bow. And we got coverage on pretty much everything now.
Now you see that?
All right, I'm going to slowly bring the bow over, and hopefully we'll be flat. When it gets tight, let me know, and I'll try to stop it. When I go to stop it, the bow's going to lift off.
Alright.
So this is working out really well because I'm tighter in the first pad, like 6 feet off on the first pad. I'm still have the stern of the tug in some of the tide, even though the bow isn't
We're down
there.
to like a foot off the first pad.
See that?
And we got like 8 feet up here on the bow.
So I continued to use the
All right, if we
tide
touch up
to
on the
push
stern,
against
it
us as
might
I'm
push
pulling the bow over,
a little
keeping
bit, so just be aware of that.
keeping up against
Yeah,
it.
that's fine.
Now I don't know if you heard me saying to him, but when he says, okay, you can stop it there, because I'm made up alongside it, and because it's loaded, because there's so much energy in the barge, when I go to stop this, it doesn't stop like it does in push gear. What happens is I'm pulling backwards on the side of the barge, which makes the barge rotate clockwise. So as I go, that's why I wanted to be real tight to that the furthest dolphin back, or the furthest caisson back, because when I go to
What do you got up there in the bow now?
What'd you say, Tim?
How far off on the bow?
Well, we're like 3 on the stern and like 5 up here.
Alright, I'm gonna try to squeeze that bow over a little more.
So now everything's working good. If I went
We're
to
all
go,
lined up good. We just gotta keep coming ahead. We'll probably get a line out in like 25 feet.
so if I had to do a real quick stop right now,
Okay. Is that guy gonna catch one for you?
the stern, you know, I say the stern, the working stern or the bow of the barge would move towards the dock, and the working bow or the stern of the barge would rotate clockwise. So by letting it just bleed off the speed, I won't have to do a big stop, and I won't be able to, I'm trying to avoid having to pull that bow out.
Alright, we're gonna get the next one up actually, so it'll be like another 25 feet.
So now I've got 25 feet, and the only thing I'm worried about now is if the bow gets in too tight, I don't want it to catch anything, you know, the working bow. So I had my rudder set up so that I could snap it out if I had to, but we're slowing down so much it looks like I'm bringing my rudder back the other way.
And like 6 on the stern, kind of just holding, just coming ahead slow. This would be a forward line, like 15 feet.
Alright, so now
Very good.
I don't have to worry about the bow coming over as much. In fact, I have to get the bow over there a little bit, so I've given myself a little bit of left wheel. Anyway, hope you guys found this interesting. I don't know if you like this type of voiceover, but we're still in we've been trying different things, and the things that work, hopefully we're going to stay with. And anyway, I thank you so much.
Alright, he's jogging down right now. We ought to be really good right here.
Okay, that's the tankerman there saying that we're good. So,
Alright, putting the brakes on.
if you like these sorts of videos, be sure to subscribe and drop me a comment.
Very good.
Smash that like button, and always a big shout out to the patrons that pay the bills for everybody.
Alright, here we
Really
go.
thank you so much. If you're interested in supporting the channel that way, you can, for $2 or $5 a month, you can be a patron. But anyway, be safe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you
once we
guys
get
on
planned, we
the
might have to back up about 5 or 6 feet, something like that, to be real close.